India's new GDP series. India has released a new GDP series by revising the base year to 2023, 22-23 from 2011-12. What is a base year? A base year is a standard reference year against the economic data is compared. It provides a fixed point to assess real growth by removing the effect of inflation. Key indicators like gross domestic products, consumer price index, index of industrial production rely on a base year to measure changes in prices and output over time. How is GDP calculated in India? India computes GDP using two main approaches. Production approach method calculates GVA across eight core sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, trade, and financial services. Reflects the contribution and performance of different sectors of the economy. Expenditure method. GDP is derived using the formula GDP is equals to C plus I plus G plus X plus minus M, where C is the consumption expenditure, I is the investment, G is the government final consumption expenditure, X minus M is the net exports, that is exports minus imports. Data compilation and release. GDP estimates are prepared by National Statistics Office under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Quarterly estimates are released with a 2-month lag. Annual GDP estimates are published on May 31st. Key improvements in India's new GDP series. Base year revision 2011-12 to 22-23. Updated to reflect current economic structure, post-pandemic trend, and improve accuracy of real gross domestic product estimation. Better data sources and coverage. Greater use of GST data and latest surveys improves estimation of formal sector, regional output, and corporate activity. Improved informal sector estimation, use of annual survey of unincorporated sector enterprise, and periodic labor force surveys (PLFS) enables better measurement of unincorporated enterprises, self-employed workers, and household in place investments. Refined consumption estimates. Private final consumption expenditure is estimated using updated survey and classification of individual consumption according to purpose 2018. Improving assessment of domestic demand. Financial sector improvement uses better data sets such as Reserve Bank of India data and Ministry of Corporate Affairs data for more accurate estimation of financial sector gross value added GVA. Adoption of double deflation, separate price adjustment for input and output instead of single deflation, improving real growth measurement, especially in manufacturing. Integration with supply and use tables SUT. Supply and use tables ensures consistency between production and expenditure approaches and reduce statistical discrepancies. According to the revised estimate reflected in the data, real GDP growth estimated at 7.6% in the FY 25-26, higher than earlier 2011-12 base estimates. Earlier growth was 7.2% FY 23-24 and 7.1% FY 24-25. Nominal GDP growth 8.6% in FY 25-26, earlier 11% FY 23-24 and 9.7 FY 24-25. Quarterly drivers. Growth in FY 25-26 was mainly supported by strong performance in Q2 8.4% and Q3 7.8%. Revision of Consumer Price Index. Ministry of Statistics Program Implementation released the CPI with new base year 2024. About Consumer Price Index. CPI measures the change in retail prices of goods and services consumed by households over time. Coverage. It covers a basket of goods and services representing consumption by rural and urban households. Compiled by Compiled and released by National Statistical Office under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Method of calculation calculated using the Lasperis index method based on base year price, base year weights from Household Consumer Expenditure Survey using modified mixed reference periods, current prices collected monthly, base year, a reference year index is equals to 100 used for comparison of price changes over time. Policy importance. The Reserve Bank of India uses CPI for inflation targeting 4% plus minus 2%. Types of CPI: CPI-IW Industrial Worker by Labor Bureau, CPI-AL Agricultural Laborers by Labor Bureau, CPI-RL Rural Laborers by Labor Bureau, and CPI combined by NSO. Need to update CPI base year, changing economy, shifts in consumption, income level, urbanization, and growth of services require updated weights. New market trends, rise of e commerce, and reducing urban rural differences needed a revised inflation framework. Better policy and global standards. Updated CPI helps Reserve Bank of India in effective inflation targeting and aligns India with global practices. Key changes made in CPI 2024 in comparison to CPI 2012 features: base year CPI 2024 new series, CPI 2012 old series, base year 2024, base year 2012. Basket size and coverage: expanded basket with 358 items, 308 goods plus 50 services, improving representativeness. Smaller basket with 299 items, around 288 rural, 281 urban price quotes. Weight reference: based on Household Consumption Expenditure Survey 2023-24, based on Consumer Expenditure Survey 2011-12. Food and beverage weight reduced to 36.75%, indicating diversification of consumption, higher at 45.86%, showing dominance of food in consumption. Item composition includes new age items like online streaming, digital storage devices, exercise equipments, rural housing, and care services. Remove obsolete goods like VCR, radios, and cassette based items. Items removed from 2012 CPI, VCR, VCD, DVD players, and hiring charges, radio, tape recorders, clothing, second hand, CD, DVD, VCDs, and choir ropes. Housing coverage: housing index expanded to include rural, urban, and all India levels. Rural rent included for the first time. Housing index limited to urban and all India, no rural rent. Classification framework: 12 divisions based on classification of individual consumption according to purpose. 2018. Note: COICOP is the international classification of household expenditure developed by United Nations Statistical Division, based on COICOP 1999 with only 6 groups. Gender budget in India. The share of gender budget in total union budget has risen to 9.37%, with 53 ministries, departments, and 5 union territories reporting allocations this year. About gender budget in India. Gender budgeting is a tool to assess whether government spending aligns with gender equality goals. It does not create a separate budget for women, rather, it evaluates the entire budget through a gender lens to ensure equitable allocation of resources. Adoption and institutional mechanism. Adoption in India. India formally adopted gender budgeting as a tool in 2004-5, institutionalizing it at both state and union levels through dedicated gender budget cells across ministries and departments. Governing scheme. The initiative is implemented under the gender budgeting scheme, which is part of the Samarthya component of Mission Shakti of the Ministry of Women and Child Development. The scheme aims 100% coverage of gender budgeting across all central and state ministries, departments, as well as rural and urban local bodies. Several states, including Odisha and Karnataka, have also adopted gender budgeting practices. Structure of gender budget: Part A, 100% allocation for women specific schemes. Part B, at least 30% allocation for women. Part C, less than 30% allocation for women to ensure comprehensive coverage of all gender responsive spending. Gender Budgeting Knowledge Hub, launched in June 2025 by Ministry of Women and Child Development as a centralized digital repository for policies, data, and training material. Income Tax Rules 2026. The Central Board of Direct Taxes CBDT notified the Income Tax Rules 2026 on March 2026, effective April 1st, 2026, aligned with the new Income Tax Act of 2025, which replaces the Income Tax Act of 1961. About income tax rules 2026, key highlights. Major simplification. Number of forms reduced from 399 to 190, significantly easing compliance burden. The new act replaces assessment year with tax year, a 12-month period beginning April 1st. Higher PAN threshold. PAN, that is permanent account number, is now mandatory only beyond higher transaction limits. Transaction, old threshold, new threshold. Cash deposit withdrawal, rupees 50,000 per day, rupees 10 lakh per financial year. Motor vehicle purchase, all vehicles except two-wheelers. New threshold, rupees 5 lakhs, includes motorcycle. Hotel restaurant bills, rupees 50,000, rupees 1 lakh. Immovable property, rupees 10 lakh, rupees 20 lakh. Revised allowances, children's education allowance increased from rupees 100 to 3,000 per month per child, up to two children. Hostel expenditure allowance raised from rupees 300 to 9,000 per month per child, up to two children. Meal voucher exemption extended to the new tax regime as well was only in old regime. Exemption up to 200 per meal for food, non-alcoholic beverages during working hours at office or through paid vouchers at eating joints. HRA expanded city list. Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Pune, and Ahmedabad now eligible for higher 50% HRA benefits, brought at par with Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, and Chennai. Cities like Noida, Gurgaon, and Navi Mumbai remains in the 40% HRA category. Tighter reporting, insurance premiums. Threshold for reporting insurance premium payment under statement of financial transactions lowered from rupees 10 lakh to 5 lakh where PAN is available. Rupees 5 lakh to 2.5 lakh where PAN is not available. Coking coal as a critical and strategic mineral. News: the Government of India has officially classified coking coal as a critical and strategic mineral under Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act 1975, MMDR Act. Rationale behind this decision: the notification is based on recommendation of High Level Committee on Implementation of Viksit Bharat Goals and policy inputs provided by Niti Aayog. India possesses about 37.37 billion tons of coking coal reserves, with major deposits concentrated in Jharkhand and smaller reserves in Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, and Chhattisgarh. However, despite significant domestic reserves, India's dependence on import has risen from 51 million tons in 2020-21 to 57.58 million tons in 2024-25. At present, nearly 95% of steel sector's coking coal demand is met through imports, resulting in substantial foreign exchange expenditure. About coking coal is primarily used to manufacture coke, an essential input for steel industry. In contrast, non-coking coal is mainly utilized in thermal power plants for steam and electricity generation. Coking coal is hard, porous material consisting of around 90% carbon, with remaining portion made up of ash, non-combustible matter, volatile substances, and impurities such as sulfur and phosphorus. RBI Integrated Ombudsman Scheme RBIOS 2026 News: the RBIOS 2026 scheme aimed at addressing customer complaints against services offered by RBI regulated entities is set to be implemented from July 1st, 2026. Ombudsman Ombudsman is an independent official who looks into complaints against organization and helps resolve them fairly. Key features of RBIOS 2026 Objective: to provide a cost effective, speedy, and non adversarial mechanism for resolving customer complaints against regulated entities. 2. Appointment: the Reserve Bank of India appoints one or more ombudsman and deputy ombudsman from among its officers, generally for a tenure of 3 years. Coverage: the scheme covers commercial banks, regional rural banks (RRBs), cooperative banks, non banking financial companies, prepaid payment instruments issuers, and credit information companies. Eligibility: any customer facing deficiency in service can file a complaint provided they have first approached the concerned regulated entity and either received no response within 30 days or are dissatisfied with the reply. Compensation: The Ombudsman can award compensation up to rupees 30 lakh for consequential financial loss. Appeal. Both the complainant and the regulated entity can final appeal before the appellate authority within 30 days of Ombudsman decision. Accountability. Regulated entities must appoint a principal nodal officer at the head office for furnishing information on its behalf in respect of complaints filed. RBI ban on non deliverable derivative. The Reserve Bank of India has limited banks' involvement in non deliverable derivatives contract to prevent offshore currency manipulation and to support sustainable stability of Indian rupees during global tension. About non deliverable derivatives. A non deliverable derivative is a derivative contract in which parties agree on a future exchange rate of Indian rupees, but the settlement is done in cash, generally in US dollars, without actual delivery of the currency. These contracts are traded in offshore markets outside the direct regulatory control of RBI and originated due to restrictions on access to domestic onshore currency markets. They are widely used by foreign investors, hedge funds, global banks, and firms to hedge currency risks or speculate on rupee movement, especially when they cannot freely access the onshore rupee market. Major trading centers include Singapore, Hong Kong, London, and Dubai, where participants can take positions on rupee without actual currency delivery. Primary Agricultural Credit Societies (PACS). The Government of India has approved the plan to establish new multipurpose PACS dairy fisheries cooperatives aiming to cover all panchayats and villages in the country over the next 5 years. About PACS, PACS functions as the lowest tier of the short term cooperative credit system, serving as the final link connecting rural borrowings with higher financial institutions like scheduled commercial banks and NABARD's RBI. Current status: around 79,630 PACS have been sanctioned, 32,802 newly registered, and 61,478 digitized across the country. Regulatory framework: multi state PACS fall under the Union List Entry 44 and are regulated by Central Registrar of Cooperative Societies under the Multi State Cooperative Societies Act 2002. Single state PACS comes under the state list entry 32 and are governed by respective state registrars under the State Cooperative Acts. Cooperatives in India: Rural Cooperative Bank, Urban Cooperative Bank, short term, State Cooperative Banks, state level, District Central Cooperative Bank, district level, Primary Agricultural Credit Society, village level, long term, State Cooperative Agricultural and Rural Development Bank, state level, primary cooperative agriculture and rural development banks, district and village level, schedule and non schedule, urban cooperative banks, UCB operating in a single state registered under State Cooperative Societies Act, multi state UCBs operating in one or more states registered under Multi State Cooperative Societies Act 2002. Key initiatives to strengthen PACS: digitization drive, implementation of a common ERP based national software to computerize PACS operations. National Cooperation Policy 2025 focuses on broadening membership and enhancing participation of women and weaker sections. Model bylaw reforms enables PACS to evolve into multi-service centers, including roles such as PM Kisan Samriddhi Kendras, common service centers, warehousing, and processing units. World's largest grain storage plan to address the storage of agricultural storage infrastructure in country by creating infrastructure such as godown at selected viable primary agricultural credit societies. Two credit linked sub schemes launched under Export Promotion Mission. The Government of India has launched two key measures under the Niryat Protsahan scheme to boost MSME exports and improve access to trade finance. About new schemes: interest support on credit export, pre and post shipment. The scheme offers an interest subsidy of 2.75% on rupee based export credit. Extra incentives are provided for exports to identified underrepresented or emerging markets. The benefit is capped at rupees 50 lakh for FY 2025-26. It is applicable only to exports falling under a notified positive list of tariff line HS 6 digit level, covering about 75% of India's tariff line. Collateral free export credit support. This scheme is implemented with the Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for micro and small enterprise. It provides credit guarantee coverage of up to rupees 85% for micro and small exporters, up to 65% for medium exporters. The maximum guaranteed exposure is rupees 10 crore per exporter per financial year. Eligibility condition remains the same as the interest support scheme. About export permission mission. Launch November 2025. Time period FY 2025-26 to FY 2030-31. Objective to enhance India's export competitiveness, particularly for MSME, first time exporters, and labor intensive sectors. Funding rupees 25,060 crore. Sub schemes under Export Promotion Mission, Niryat Protsahan focuses on improving access to affordable trade finance for MSME through instruments such as instant interest subvention, export factoring, and collateral guarantees. Niryat Disha focuses on non financial support to enhance market readiness and competitiveness, including export quality and compliance support, international branding, packaging, warehousing, and logistics. India becomes world's largest rice producer. India has become the world's largest rice producer of rice, surpassing China with production of about 150 million tons compared to China's 145.28 million tons. Status of rice production and exports. Major rice producing countries: India 150 million tons, China, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Japan, Sri Lanka, Egypt. State-wise production in India 2024-25: Uttar Pradesh 13.8%, Telangana 11.6%, West Bengal 10.6%, Punjab 9.5%, Chhattisgarh 7%. Export leadership: India is the world's largest rice exporter, exporting about 20.1 million metric ton in 2024-25, strengthening its role in global food supply chain. Major export destination: Indian rice is mainly exported to Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Benin, and United Arab Emirates, indicated strong demand in West Asia and Africa. About rice crop. Rice is a major food crop in the world and staple diet of tropical and subtropical regions. In India, it is predominantly a kharif crop, that is summer crop. Climate and soil requirement. Temperature: hot and humid climate, optimum range 22 degrees Celsius to 32 degrees Celsius, mean 24 degrees Celsius. Rainfall: generally 100 to 150 centimeters up to 300 centimeters in some regions. Irrigation support cultivation in low rainfall areas like Punjab and Haryana. Soil: grows in silt, loam, and gravels, best suited to deep clay or loamy soil with pH 5.5 to 6.5. Water requirement: rice is a semi aquatic crop requiring standing water of 11 to 15 centimeter for nearly three-fourths of its growing period. Cropping season in India: rice is grown in three distinct seasons based on region. Aman, winter rice, June July to November December. Aus, autumn rice, May June to September October. Boro, summer rice, November to May. Recent technological advances: Indian Council of Agricultural Research has developed India's first genome edited rice variety, DRR Rice 100, Kamla and Pusa DST Rice 1, which promises higher yield, improves climate resilience, and better water use efficiency. Coconut cultivation: Union Budget 2026-27 announced a coconut promotion scheme to rejuvenate old, unproductive coconut plantation and expand cultivation in coastal areas. About coconut: it is a tropical palm belonging to Erica family. It is predominantly grown in tropical coastal regions of Asia, India, Philippines, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Indonesia, and Oceania. It is believed to have originated in Indo-Pacific region, Southeast Asia, and spread across islands through ocean currents and human migration. In India, major producing states include Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Goa, and West Bengal. It is called a multi-purpose crop as almost all parts are useful: kernel, coconut water milk, coir, mesocarp fiber and husk. Climatic condition required for coconut. Rainfall requires about 100 to 300 centimeter annually, preferably well distributed. Temperature ideal around 27 degrees Celsius with diurnal variations of 6 to 7 degrees Celsius. Low temperature are more harmful than high temperatures. Light needs abundant sunlight for proper growth. Altitude best suited up to 600 meter above mean sea level, though it can grow up to 800 meters under favorable conditions. Humidity thrives in warm and humid climate. Soil performs best at coastal sandy and sandy loam soils, but also goes well in laterite soil. National Monetization Pipeline 2000 2.0. The Union Finance Ministry has recently launched the second phase of National Monetization Pipeline. The Union Budget 2025-26 proposes a NMP 2.0 to promote sustainable infrastructure financing by monetizing existing public assets. About NMP 2.0, it lays down a medium term roadmap for monetizing operational brownfield public assets and provides clarity and visibility to private investors. Sectors covered: road, railway, power, oil, gas, civil aviation, ports, telecom, coal, mines, and among others. Monitoring progress is overseen by core group of secretariats on asset monetization (CJM) under Cabinet Secretary. Asset recycling approach focuses on unlocking value from existing assets and reinvesting it into new infrastructure capex without increasing fiscal burden. Instruments used includes PPP concessions, INVITs, and securitization of cash flows. Use of proceeds: funds are distributed based on implementing authority, Consolidated Fund of India (PSUs), port authorities, or state funds. About NMP 1.0, announced in August 2011 by Niti Aayog as a 4-year plan FY 2022-25, aimed at generating resources for new infrastructure, improving efficiency, and increasing private sector participation. It achieved nearly 90% of its 6 lakh crore target. Revised Startup Renegotiation Framework. The government has revised the recognition framework under the Startup India Action Plan to make it more inclusive and supportive of growing and innovation driven business. Key features of India's new startup recognition framework: eligibility criteria for startup recognition. An entity must be formally registered in India as a private limited company partnership firm (LLP), and now also includes cooperative societies and multi state cooperative societies, reflecting a more inclusive approach. Basic condition: the entity should be a genuine new venture, that is, it must not be created by splitting or restructuring an already existing business. Time and size limit: recognition is available for up to 10 years from incorporation. The turnover ceiling has been raised to rupees 200 crore, earlier 100 crore, allowing more scaling firms to qualify. Nature of activities: the startup should be engaged in innovation, development, or improvement of product services, or follow a scalable business model with strong potential for employment generation or wealth creation. Deep tech startups, a new category. Definition and focus: these are startups working on advanced scientific or engineering innovations, often involving multidisciplinary research and significant R&D investment. Distinct feature: high reliance on research and intellectual property creation, long deployment cycles, high capital needs, technological uncertainty. Focus on commercializing cutting edge innovations, relaxed eligibility norms, age limit extended to 20 years, turnover limit increased to 300 crore. Investment related conditions: fund raised must be used mainly for core business operations, innovation, research, or scaling. Investment in unrelated assets or activities is restricted unless directly linked to business operations. Recognition Authority: the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade is the nodal authority responsible for granting startup recognition. Textile sector in India. The Union Budget 2026-27 proposes measures to strengthen the textile sector, support weaver and artisans, enhance exports, and generate employment. About textile sector in India, GDP contribution. The sector contributes 2.3% to India's GDP. Manufacturing sector contribution. It accounts for about 11% of the total manufacturing GVA. Exports. Globally, India has established itself as the sixth largest exporter of textiles and apparels. Employment. It ranks as the second largest employer after agriculture, supporting over 45 million people. MSME domination. About 80% of the industry capacity is located within MSME clusters. India's global rank: cotton, first in acreage, second in production and consumption. Silk, second largest producer globally. Jute, first largest producer globally, around 75% of the world population. Key announcements in Budget 2026-27. Comprehensive Textile Development Program, a unified framework covering fiber production, cluster modernization, artisanal support, sustainability, and skilling through components like National Fiber Scheme, Tex Echo, and Summer 2.0. Mega textile parks and technical textile push. Development of large scale integrated textile parks to improve infrastructure, attract investment, and enhance global competitiveness. Focus on rural and traditional sector. Gram Swaraj initiative. Strengthening Khadi, handloom, and handicrafts by improving market access, modernizing production, and promoting ODOP based value chain. Export facilitation measures, extension of export obligation timeline 6 to 12 months to ease compliance and support textile exports using duty free inputs. MSME and financial support measure, enhance liquidity through trade recyclable discounting system TREDS, linkage credit guarantee, GEM integration, creation of a rupees 10,000 crore SME growth fund to boost textile MSMEs. India's fishery sector. India's fisheries and aquaculture sector has expanded rapidly, with total fish production rising about 106% from 95.79 lakh tons in 2013-14 to 197.75 lakh tons in 2024-25. About fisheries sector, global standing. India is world's second largest producer of fish, contributing about 8% to global output. It also ranks second in aquaculture, leads globally in shrimp production and exports, and holds the second position in capture fishery. Livelihood support. The sector sustains nearly 3 crore fisheries and fish farmers across the country. Economic contribution. Since 2014-15, fisheries have accounted for about 7.43% of the agricultural GVA, making it the largest contributor within agriculture and allied sectors. Production trends. Growth and output. Fish out production has more than doubled, rising from 95.79 lakh tons in 2013-14 to 197.75 lakh tons in 2024-25, reflecting a 106% increase. Aquaculture efficiency. The average productivity in aquaculture has reached 4.77 tons per hectare. Export performance. In 2003-23 24, India exported 16.97 lakh tons of seafood valued at 62,408 crore. Major producing state prominent contributors include West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, and Kerala. Government key initiatives. Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana focuses on boosting aquaculture productivity, strengthening fisheries management, and developing integrated aqua parks. PM Matsya Kisan Samriddhi Sah Yojana, a sub-scheme of PM MSY aimed at addressing sectoral gaps through financial and technological supports. Brew Revolution Scheme promotes overall development and management of both inland and marine fisheries through an integrated approach. Fisheries and Aquaculture Infrastructure Development Fund supports creation of infrastructure in marine and inland fisheries. National Marine Fisheries Policy 2017 provides a framework for sustainable conservation and management of marine resources. Netting of funds for FPI. SEBI has approved allowing netting of funds for outright cash market transactions by foreign portfolio investors. About foreign portfolio investment. Foreign portfolio investment involves foreign investors putting money into financial instruments like shares, bond, in another country without exercising any managerial control over the company. It covers instruments such as equity shares, debt securities, American depository receipts, global depository receipts, mutual funds, and exchange traded funds. Unlike FDI, it does not provide ownership or management control. It is highly liquid and linked to market movements, making it volatile and responsive to global risk conditions. FPI transactions are recorded under the capital account of the balance of payments. About netting: netting is a financial process of offsetting multiple payables and receivables between two or more parties to arrive at a single net payment obligation, reducing transaction volume, costs, and settlement risk. An FPI sells stock B worth rupees 80 and buys stock A worth rupees 100 on the same day. Instead of arranging for full 100 rupees, the FPI uses 80 rupees sale proceeds and arranges only the net 20 rupees shortfall. Netting of funds for FPI. Current framework: FPI must settle all transactions on a gross basis even when the buy and sell values offset each other. This leads to higher funding cost and operational inefficiencies, particularly on index rebalancing days. Proposed changes: SEBI. FPI can use proposed proceeds from sales to fund purchases on the same day, settling only the net fund obligations. Applies only to the outright transactions where there is either a buy or sell in a security during a settlement cycle, but not both. Netting will not apply where an FPI buys and sells the same security within a settlement cycle. Such intraday transactions continue on a gross basis. What remains unchanged: security settlement between FPI and custodians continue on a gross basis. Security transactions tax and stamp duty continue to be charged on a delivery basis. India's T plus 1 settlement cycle framework is unaffected. Urban Challenge Fund. The Union Cabinet has approved the launch of Urban Challenge Fund with total central assistance of rupees 1 lakh crore. About Urban Challenge Fund: type of scheme: it is a centrally sponsored scheme. Nodal ministry is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs (MoHUA). Duration: FY 25-26 to FY 2030-31, extendable till 2033-34. Objective: to build resilient, inclusive, productive, and climate responsive cities, to position cities as engines of economic growth. Funding structure: at least 50% of the project cost must be raised through market based sources such as municipal bonds, bank loans, and public private partnerships. The remaining portion can be funded by state, union territories, urban local bodies, or other available sources. Coverage: the fund will include all cities with a population of rupees 10 lakh or more, as per 2025 estimates, along with state and union territory capitals that are not part of this category. It will also cover major industrial cities having a population of at least 1 lakh. In addition, urban local bodies (ULBs) in hilly and northeastern states, as well as smaller ULBs and with populations below 1 lakh, will receive support under the Credit Repayment Guarantee Scheme. Other key features: challenge based selection. Projects are selected through a competitive process focusing on high impact, innovative ideas. Reform linked funding. Funds are given based on improvement in governance, finance, planning, and service delivery. Market led approach encourages cities to rely more on market financing instead of only government grants. Private sector participation promotes PPP and risk sharing to attract private investment and improve efficiency. Credit enhancement mechanism: a rupees 5000 crore fund will help about 4223 cities, especially smaller ones, improve their credit worthiness and access market funds. Rare Earth Corridors. The Union Budget 2026-27 announced the creation of dedicated rare earth corridors across four coastal states: Odisha, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. Odisha, Chhatarpur, Oscom, Major Processing Hub; Andhra Pradesh, Saraikulam, Vishakhapatnam, Nellore Coastal Belt; Tamil Nadu, Madavakurichi and Southern Coast; Kerala, Chavara and near Vizhinjam Port. Rare earth in India. Primary source. Rare earth elements are mainly extracted from beach sand minerals deposit. Monazite presence. BSM contains monazite, rich in rare earth, example neodymium, praseodymium, along with uranium and thorium. Regulation. Monazite is governed under the Atomic Energy Act 1962 due to its radioactive component. Strategic importance. Classified as critical mineral, essential for advanced technologies, clean energy, and defense. Resource position. India holds 6% of global reserve with 13.15 million tons of monazite and significant resource identified by the Geological Survey of India. About rare earth permanent magnets. REPMs are among the strongest permanent magnets made from alloys of rare earth elements, a group of 17 metals on periodic tables combined with other materials such as iron and boron. Properties. They have very high magnetic strength, high energy density, and compact size superior to fertile, ferrite, and alnico magnets. Limitations. Brittle, brittle and corrosion prone, usually requiring protective coating like nickel plating. Application. Widely used in electric vehicles, wind turbines, defense equipment, and precision electronics. Strategic importance. Demand is expected to double by 2030, making domestic production crucial for energy transition and supply security. India imported 60 to 80% value and 85 to 90% quantity of REPMs from China 2022-25. It is crucial for EVs and wind energy, supporting net zero 2070 goals. Agri Stack News. In the 2026 budget, the finance minister unveiled Bharat Vistar, a multilingual AI platform that integrates AgriStack with farm practices data from ICAR. About AgriStack, it is a digital public infrastructure for agriculture launched in 2024 under the Digital Agriculture Mission. Objective: to consolidate farm related data on a unified platform. Components: it creates a three core digital registry: farmer registry, crop zone registry, and geo-referenced village maps maintained by state governments and UTs. Under the farmer registry, farmers are given a unique digital identity linked with land records, livestock ownership, crop zone, and schemes and benefits availed. The crop zone registry records details of crop planted by farmers through mobile based digital crop surveys conducted each season. The geo-referenced village map registry contains geographical informations and land records linked with their exact location. So far, 5.4 lakh villages map have been geo-referenced out of the total 6.75 lakh villages. The target is to cover all villages by March 2027. About Bharat Vistar. Bharat Vistar, virtually integrated system to access agricultural resource, is an AI-driven multilingual digital platform designed to transform Indian agriculture. It is proposed in the Union Budget of 2026-27. It integrates AgriStack data with ICAR scientific practices to provide real-time personalized advisories on farming, pest, and markets. It focuses on precision farming and enhancing farmers' income. Chemical Park Scheme. The Union Budget 2026-27 announced a scheme to support states in establishing three dedicated chemical parks through a challenge-based route. About chemical parks are planned industrial clusters specifically designed for chemical and petrochemical manufacturing. They enable multiple industrial units to operate in proximity with while sharing world-class infrastructure and common services. The park will adopt a cluster based plug and play model with pre approved environmental compliance set systems. A budgetary allocation of 600 rupees crore, budget estimates of 2026-27, has been earmarked for this initiative. This marks the first dedicated budgetary support for chemical parks infrastructure in India. Chemical sector in India. Global position. India is the sixth largest chemical producer globally and third in Asia. Economic contribution contributes around 7% to GDP and 8.1% to manufacturing GVA. Economic Survey 2025-26. Market size. The sector was valued at approximately 21.5 lakh crore, that is 250 billion US dollars in 2024. Other initiatives for promotion of chemical industry. Plastic parks designed to promote efficient plastic waste management and recycling while creating synergies across plastic processing industry. Bulk drug parks intended to enhance self-reliance in production of pharmaceutical raw materials, particularly active pharmaceutical ingredients. Petroleum chemical and petrochemical investment regions established as a large-scale industrial zone to attract investment in petroleum, chemicals and petrochemical sectors. Production linked incentive PLI scheme implemented to boost domestic manufacturing of critical key starting materials, drug intermediaries and APIs. Niti Aayog released the fourth edition of the Export Preparedness Index 2024. About Export Preparedness Index, it is a composite index that assesses export readiness of state and union territories. Released by Niti Aayog, first edition 2020. The index is built on four pillars: export infrastructure, business ecosystem, policy and governance, and export performance. It comprises 13 sub-pillars and 70 indicators for granular analysis. The 2024 edition includes new dimensions such as microeconomic stability, cost competitiveness, financial access, human capital, and MSME. State UTs are grouped into large, small, northeastern states, UTs, and classified as leaders, challengers, and aspirers. Key findings of the Export Preparedness Index 2024. Top performing states: Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, and Andhra Pradesh ranked highest among the large states due to strong industrial ecosystem and export infrastructure. Uttarakhand led the smallest state category, followed by Jammu and Kashmir, Nagaland, Dadar Haveli, and Goa and Tripura. India's first State Innovation Mission (SIM). Atal Innovation Mission under Niti Aayog launched India's first State Innovation Mission in Tripura to strengthen innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. About India's first State Innovation Mission background, SIM is part of the approved Atal Innovation Mission 2.0 program, launched under the aegis of Niti Aayog State Support Mission, making Tripura the first state in India to implement this mission. Objective: it is designed as a long term institutional mechanism to support states and union territories in building robust, inclusive, and context specific innovation ecosystem aligned with national priorities and local development strengths. Institutional frameworks: SIM was institutionalized under the Tripura Institution for Transformation, TIFT, with TNEST, Tripura Nurturing Entrepreneurship and Startups, launched as a dedicated incubation and innovation facility for startups and innovators. District level outreach: innovation centers were established across 8 districts of Tripura, ensuring regional balance and extending innovation support beyond urban centers to grassroots levels. Key activities: AIM will work closely with Government of Tripura to design long-term innovation strategies, strengthen policy and regulatory framework, enable government, academia, industry, civil society partnership, facilitate peer learning, and support startup through infrastructure, mentorship, and access to funding. About Atal Innovation Mission, AIM is a flagship innovative of the Government of India launched in 2016 under Niti Aayog. Objective: it aims to create an innovative mindset among students at the school level and support entrepreneurship across institutions and industries. Key program: AIM has created four programs to support its function. Atal Tinkering Labs to foster curiosity and innovation among school students. Atal Incubation Centers to support startups and entrepreneurs with infrastructure and mentorship. Atal New India Challenge (ANIC) to encourage technology based innovation solving national problems. Atal Grand Challenge to address large scale developmental challenges through innovative solutions. Fiscal Health Index 2026. The second annual edition of the Fiscal Health Index 2026 was released in New Delhi by Niti Aayog officials. About Fiscal Health Index, launched by Niti Aayog, Fiscal Health Index provides a standardized framework to assess fiscal performance of 18 major states and 10 northeastern and Himalayan states. Objective: It offers a comparable, data driven evaluation of state finances to improve fiscal discipline, guide reforms, and support evidence based policy making. Key pillars: the index is based on five parameters: quality of expenditure, revenue mobilization, fiscal prudence, debt index, and debt sustainability. Classification of states: states are grouped in four categories: achievers with strong fiscal discipline, high own tax revenues, low deficit; front runners, generally sound finances with minor gaps; performers, moderate outcome across indicators; aspirational, high fiscal stress, large deficit, high debt. FHI 2026 highlights: achievers, Odisha, Goa, and Jharkhand; downgrades, Karnataka and Telangana; performers, Kerala and Tamil Nadu; aspirational, Northeast and Himalayan leaders, Arunachal Pradesh top, followed by Uttarakhand, Tripura, Meghalaya, Assam, and Mizoram. Center launches AI skilling drive. The Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting has launched the three new initiatives to boost India's media, broadcasting, and digital sector and promote the orange economy. About National AI Initiative, Nodal Ministry, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, implementation executed by Indian Institute of Creative Technologies with support from YouTube. Objective: to build artificial intelligence skills in animation, visual effect, gaming and comics, and media technology sectors. Training: around 15,000 youths will be trained free of cost. About My Waves platform, a new feature integrated into Waves over the top platform for content creators to create, upload, and share content. Structured User Generated Content (UGC) ecosystem provides an organized space for creators and support initiatives like Create in India Challenge. Shift in role moves the platform from content consumption to content creation and participation. Content formats support short videos, vertical videos, and episodic contents. Multilingual access available in multiple Indian languages for wider reach. About Advanced Electronics Program Guide and Inbuilt Satellite Tuner. New television feature: introduction of TVs with inbuilt satellite tuners and advanced electronic program guides. No set top box required, enables direct access to DD Dish free dish channels without a separate set top box. Cost and convenience: reduces extra cost, wiring, and the need for multiple remotes. Better user experience: advanced EPG allows easy navigation of channels and schedules in one interface. Improved accessibility makes television viewing simpler and more accessible for households across India. Liberalized remittance scheme. Union Budget 2026-27 reduced the tax collected at source rate on money spent abroad for education and medical purposes under the liberalized remittance scheme. About liberalized remittance schemes, what it allows: resident Indians, individuals including minors, can spend up to 250,000 US dollars per financial year abroad for permitted current capital account transactions or both combined. Who cannot use? The scheme is not applicable to entities like companies, partnership firms, HUFs, or trusts. Launch: introduced by RBI in 2004. Restrictions: remittances are not permitted for activities such as gambling, lottering, or speculative trading. Orange economy. Terms, initiatives, and news. Orange economy context: the Union Budget highlighted steps to boost India's orange economy. About orange economy, it refers to knowledge based economic activities driven by human creativity, ideas, and intellectual property. UNCTAD definition and origin, defined by United Nations Conference on Trade Development as an evolving concept based on creativity plus IP plus knowledge plus technology, first recognized in UNCTAD 9 2004 Sao Paulo Consensus. Key sectors included: covers advertising, architecture, art and craft, design, fashion, film, music, performing arts, publishing software, gaming, TV and radio. Global significance: UNESCO. contributes about 3% of the global GDP and generates 30 million jobs worldwide. India Focus, AVGC Push, India's animation, visual effects, gaming and comics, AVGC sector is projected to need 2 million professionals by 2030. Budget 26-27 proposes AVGC labs in 15,000 schools and 500 colleges via the Indian Institute of Creative Technologies, Mumbai. Debt to GDP ratio context, India is on track to reach debt to GDP ratio of 50 plus minus 1% by 2030-31, as debt to GDP ratio is estimated to be 55.6% of GDP in budget estimates of 2026-27. About debt to GDP ratio, it shows a country's total debt compared to its annual GDP, indicating its ability to repay debt. It is now increasingly used as a main policy target instead of fiscal deficit GDP ratio under the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003. Variable rate repo context, the Reserve Bank of India injected 55,837 crore rupees of short term liquidity into the banking system through a 3-day variable rate repo auction. About variable rate repo, VRR is a tool used by Reserve Bank of India to inject short term liquidity into the banking system, part of LAF. It is a component of the liquidity adjustment facility used for day to day liquidity management. Market determined rate. Unlike the fixed repo rate, the interest rate is decided through auction based on bank's bid. Short term nature, typically conducted for 1 to 14 days, making it a temporary liquidity instrument. Auction mechanism, funds are allocated from highest bidder rate to lowest until the notified amount is exhausted. Collateral requirement, banks must provide government securities as collateral to borrow funds from VRR. Merchandise trade indices. India's merchandise trade indices have been revised with a new base year, FY 22-23, to reflect structural changes in trade patterns. About merchandise trade indices compiled by Directorate General of Commercial Intelligence and Statistics under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. The purpose is to track changes in prices, unit values, and quantities of India's export and imports over time. Base year updated from FY 2012-13 to FY 22-23. Types of indices include Export Unit Value Index, Import Unit Value Index, and Terms of Trade. Terms of Trade, Net Commodity Terms of Trade, ratio of exports prices to import prices. Gross terms of trade, ratio of import quantity to export quantity. Income terms of trade, net terms of trade into quantity of exports. New country partnership framework, news. India and World Bank announced a new country partnership framework aligned with Viksit Bharat. About new country partnership framework, the framework places strong emphasis on employment generation led by private sector. It focuses on enhancing workforce skilling, reducing constraints for small and medium enterprises, and expanding economic opportunities, especially for women and young people. It outlines four major strategic objectives: promoting rural growth and resilience by encouraging livelihood options beyond agriculture, enabling urban development in view of India's urban population expected to rise 800 million by 2050, building human capital through greater investment in health, education, and skill development, improving energy and climate preparedness by strengthening core infrastructure and advancing renewable energy, e mobility, and green hydrogen. Entrepreneurial state context, the Economic Survey 2025-26 urged India to move towards an entrepreneurial state, a concept proposed by economist Marina Mazzucato. About entrepreneurial state, a state that actively drives innovation and takes risks rather than just regulating markets. Core features focuses on policy experimentation, risk sharing, long-term public investment in high uncertainty sectors, example technology, green energy. Catastrophe bonds context, Kerala has asked the union government to introduce catastrophe bonds, CAT bonds, to protect against financial losses caused by natural disasters. About catastrophe bonds, CAT bonds are a type of insurance linked instruments that shift disaster related financial risk from government or insurer to investors. Investors invest capital by purchasing these bonds, thereby providing upfront funds to the issuer. If no specified disaster occur within the bond period, investor receives their principal along with higher returns. If a predefined catastrophe event based on trigger like loss threshold occurs, the invested amount is partially or fully used for disaster relief and the investor incurs losses. These bond ensures quick post-disaster funding, reduce financial burden on government by transferring risk to global markets, and provide longer-term protection compared to conventional insurance. District-led textile transformation plan context. The Ministry of Textile recently unveiled the DLTT plan during the National Textile Ministry Conference held in Guwahati, Assam. About district-led textile transformation plan objective promotes inclusive, sustainable, and export-oriented growth in textile sector using a district-based approach. Target 100 districts as a global export hub, 100 aspirational districts as a self-reliant textile center. Selection criteria based on export performance, MSME strength, and workforce availability. Categorization of districts. Districts are classified using data on export performance, MSME strength, and workforce availability. Champion districts, high export performance with strong MSME and skilled workforce. Focus on expansion, technology upgrade, and global market integration. Aspirational district, low export performance with weaker MSME and workforce. Focus on skill development, formalization, and grassroots enterprise growth. Digital Twin Initiative context. VO Chidambaram Port Authority became the first Indian port to launch the Digital Twin Initiative for port management. About Digital Twin Initiative concept, a digital twin is a virtual replica of a physical object or system that uses real-time data to mirror its behavior, performance, and conditions. Life cycle monitoring, it enables continuous monitoring, simulation, and analysis across the entire life cycle from design and operation to maintenance and decommissioning. Application in ports. In port management, it creates a real time digital model of infrastructure, asset, and maritime operation, improving efficiency, predictive maintenance, and decision making. Technological base. It generates advanced technologies such as IoT sensors, GPS tracking, LiDAR mapping, drone imaging, and CCTV systems. About Vio Chitambram Port, located in Tudukudi, Tamil Nadu, one of India's 13 major ports. It is an artificial deep sea harbor, historically noted by Ptolemy 123 AD as a key maritime trade center, known for its long standing association with pearl fishery. Reports and news. Global Economic Prospects Report. The World Bank Global Economic Prospects is a biannual report, January and June, that evaluates global economic outlook. India's growth projection for FY 25-26 has been revised upwards to 7.2% from 6.3%, driven by strong domestic demand, robust private consumption, tax reforms, rising rural income. Global trade growth is expected to slow down from 3.4% in 2025 to 2.2% in 2026. Debt concerns. Government debt in emerging markets and developing economies has reached a 55-year high of nearly 70% of GDP. Employment and Social Trends 2026, released by International Labour Organization, the report highlights that progress in improving employment quality has stagnated, with extreme working poverty declining only marginally by 3.1% between 2015 to 2025. Rising informality, around 2.1 billion workers globally are expected to remain in informal employment by 2026. India's share. India contributes about 3% to global manufacturing output. Global Investment Trends Monitor, released by United Nations Conference on Trade and Development (UNCTAD). The report tracks global investment flows and trends. FDI inflows in India increased sharply by 73% to reach $47 billion in 2025. The surge is attributed to large investments in services, finance, IT, R&D, and manufacturing, supported by policy measures aimed at integrating India into a global value chain.